Hey guys, welcome back to the Western vocal channel of SIFF Young Artiste, where we nurture the artist in you. I'm Anirudh and welcome to episode number 8 of our live series called Feedback Fridays. So this happens every Friday at 5 p.m. And if you are new to this, so basically we ask people and singers from our community and our students to send across clips of them singing, and I'll be giving live feedback every Friday at 5 for their clips. Okay, so this would definitely help you improve and work on your singing. So if you're new to this and you haven't submitted yet, please head to the description. You will find a form. You can fill that up and submit your video or audio clip to us. And if you have already submitted, this is episode number 8. If you haven't watched the previous 7, please make sure to go watch them in case yours has already been covered. Okay, cool. So now I'll also be giving the video guidelines to follow for new submissions at the end of today's live, so make sure to stick around. Now we have 5 videos for today as usual. This has been picked out from by the team, so even I'm watching them for the first time. I'm also going to be pleasantly surprised. Till now it's been a great ride over the past 7 weeks. There have been a lot of great submissions and I've had a lot of fun, and even I've learned a lot by doing these sessions, guys. So thank you so much for the submissions. So today's first submission, let's dive right in, is Jagdish Meena from Udaipur, Rajasthan. So let's play Jagdish's video. I think this looks like a live show, so hoping there's not too much background noise. Let's play this. बोल रहा है हसरत हर हद से गुजरने की, तेरे नाम से जीने की, तेरे नाम से मरने की, दिल मांग रहा है मोहब्बत तेरे साथ धड़कने की, तेरे नाम से जीने की, तेरे नाम से मरने की, तेरे संग चलो हरदम बन करके बरसाई। Okay, so it cuts abruptly at about 40 seconds. Okay, cool. So thank you, Jagdish, for sending that across. First thing I noticed was your confidence. I think that is a very, very important aspect to have for a singer. You were playing live and you were moving your hands around and all of that. So that's great to see that you weren't conscious, because a lot of times, guys, what happens when we are conscious, especially in a live performance or a studio recording setting, is that makes us tense up at different parts of our body, right? And unless that tension is released, you cannot sing to your proper potential, to your correct potential. So that's very good to see, Jagdish. Like, आप बहुत confident थे. So that is one thing. That's great for a live performer. And secondly, your voice is really, really good. So आप बहुत अच्छा गाते हैं. So your voice texture and the confidence and the control. Na 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 na. Na, 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 na. All those pitch variations, you handled it very well. So that's really good. And of course, because you were singing to a backing track, karaoke track, aap taal mein the. So you were on beat. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. So you were on beat. So that's again great. And pitch, so sur ki baat karte hai, to you were pretty much spot on, accurate tha. But at some places, especially by the end, a few notes went a bit flat. Na, 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 sort of like that. I mean, I'm exaggerating just to show you. And I'm not too familiar with these Hindi songs as well. Also, forgive me if I'm making any mistake while I'm trying to explain in Hindi, because I am not a native Hindi speaker and I'm just trying to do my best, guys. So, yeah, okay. And now coming to the feedback part, right? So firstly, as I mentioned, you have a great voice, you have great stage presence, and all of that is covered. You're on beat. Pitching, slight improvement is needed with maybe an instrument or a backing track or just a perfect piano or a free app. You can use that, play a note and usko match kijiye. Okay, so try to match it. If you're singing, tune yourself down, niche aaye. Or if you're singing down, come up. So just like how you tune a guitar with the tuning keys, you can tune your voice up or down as well. So that is one thing. And the other thing which I noticed, so this is more of a general feedback and a suggestion rather than like an out and out feedback. So what I would recommend is choose diverse songs. आप दूसरे टाइप के गाने भी चूज कीजिए, क्योंकि ये वन डायमेंशनल हो गया, फुल मेलोडी, सो यू शुड बी चैलेंज्ड बाय द सॉन्ग. आपको गाना चैलेंजिंग लगना चाहिए. सो इसलिए pick a song maybe like with a more brighter tone, na 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 na, or maybe more husky tone, like either extreme. You're singing in the middle point, maybe someone like a like a nice airy texture with a ballad sort of a song, like a slow song, maybe like Sonu Nigam ji, or even someone like an Arman Malik for that matter. And on the other spectrum, pick someone like who maybe like a Vishal Dadlani, or if you're familiar, maybe like Raghu Dikshit. So these singers, you can try to pick their songs and try to see how your voice fits along with that. Okay. And the last small tip I can give you is make sure to take breath at the correct time. You were doing it here because it was a slow song, but even when you did take a breath, I sort of felt you were sort of very conscious about it and taking a deeper breath. So make sure you are clear about where you need to take your breath. So आप कहाँ पे stop करते हैं गाना, वहाँ पे breath लीजिए, छोटा सा breath if there is a big gap, and if there is if there's a small gap, if there's a big gap, you can take a deeper breath. Okay. So cool. Thank you so much to Jagdish for sending that across. Now I'm moving on to submission number 2 for this week. It's by Rahul from Assam. So let's listen to Rahul. Again, it's a 46-second video clip. Guys, I've already mentioned, try to send at least 1 minute long clips, because 1 to 1 minute 30 seconds max. Because if a song has variation later on and you're only singing the verse part within that 40 seconds, I would like to also see more dynamics. How do you go from the verse to the pre-chorus to the chorus, or mukada to antara, and so on. So try to send a slightly longer video if possible. So listening to Rahul now.
मेरे सामने वाली खिड़की में एक चांद का टुकड़ा रहता है, अफसोस है कि वो हमसे कुछ उखरा रहता है. मेरे सामने वाली खिड़की में एक चांद का टुकड़ा रहता है. बरसात भी आकर चली गई, बादल भी गरज कर बरस गए. उसकी एक झलक को हम ऐ हुस्न मालिक तरस गए. कब प्यास बुझी इन आँखों की, वो चंचल सा मुख रहता है.
Okay, Rahul, thank you so much for this submission. I really liked it. It's a very unique background as well, with a lot of these luminous lights. But anyway, so firstly, I would say that you are a very enjoyable performer. So बहुत मजा आया आपको देख के, आपका performance देख के, because you have a lot of these dynamics and variations, right? As a singer, you don't sing any two lines the same way. You have these sort of a nasal, and that sort of that that attitude to it when you're singing, and at some parts you have that more whispery texture, like ukra ukra, whatever that was. I'm not too sure of the lyrics. So I really enjoyed it as a viewer, because there were a lot of dynamics, a lot of changes in the way you sang. Okay, now coming to feedback, you have a good voice, you have a lot of potential. So but a few points to note. Firstly, make sure you pick a correct key. आप scale correct choose कीजिए, क्योंकि it was seeing now that you were straining. It was hard for you when you were reaching a few high notes. Like you were straining and you were pushing down. Okay, so choose the correct key when you're singing, and maybe use a metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4. So use a metronome so you can sing on beat. That also helps you take breath at the correct time. Okay, so those two are simple guidelines. And next, coming to it, though I did enjoy the variations, I felt at a couple of places when you did when you were singing those, you were actually slightly using your nose, which is good. But maybe that part, वो part आप more open mouth approach से गा सकते हैं. Like instead of na 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 na, and when you go higher, na 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 na, there use the more nasal approach. But you did it ulta or opposite, where you were singing that part with your nasal approach, and the next part where you're going high, you were trying to straining your throat. But here you should do that. मेरे सामने वाली खिड़की में ना 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 ना, where that nasal resonance, that will help a lot. Okay, so just switch those, that would be great. And lastly, when you sang that na na na, when you come down, right, na 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 na, or whatever, I'm not singing in key. So the part where you go lighter, that ukra, that part was very nice. So keep that touch alive. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it, Rahul. So practice pitching a little bit, because sur ka kuch training hona chahiye, or use a metronome for the tal. So that is the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Maybe like do a few warm-ups, lip trills, your shoulder drops, all of that. So if you're interested, please watch our Western Vocals Beginners course live sessions every Monday at 4 p.m. Already quite a few sessions have been done. We still have a little over half the course to go. So please follow that, watch from video 1, and I'm sure you will find a lot of value in it, okay? So thank you, Rahul, for the submission. Now, moving forward, guys, we have Shaurya Avasthi from UP, Uttar Pradesh. So let's take a listen to Shaurya. This is exactly 59 seconds. Good, and I think it's a video.
न हो के भी करीब तू हमेशा पास था कि 100 जन्म भी देखता मैं तेरा रास्ता जो भी है सब मेरा तेरे हवाले कर दिया जिस्म का हर रुआं तेरे हवाले कर दिया जो भी है सब मेरा तेरे हवाले कर दिया जिस्म का हर रुआं तेरे हवाले कर दिया.
Okay, Shaurya, thank you for the submission. Firstly, let me tell you that you have a really bright, resonant tone. Na 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 ra 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 ra. That sort of a tone is very, very nice to listen to. And I mean, like as a male singer, you need to be able to push your voice that way. That's very good, because only singing whispery or airy, ra, 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 that will only get you so far in terms of pitch and projection, right? So that's really good. I enjoyed this. But now coming to the feedback part, okay? So firstly, Shaurya, I think what was happening with you is that you sang until the first time the Rua word came, you were singing in one scale. And then when that came, I think you sort of switched scales, which is should not be happening, because most songs, especially pop and Bollywood songs, do not change scales. So you change the tune up, sur hi badal diye. So what I'm saying is, use a reference, okay? Maybe if it's just a guitar chord, keep strumming that chord after each line, maybe to just stay on the key. Or maybe use a karaoke track in your correct pitch, whatever scale works for you. In your key, you can use a karaoke track and sing along with it, okay? And also the other thing I noticed was you weren't staying on beat, you were stretching a few lines, you were keeping a few lines shorter. The Havale Kar Diya was very short, and then those were being stretched longer than necessary. So I have two reasons for this. One is of course, you won't stay on beat. So you need to either work with a karaoke track or at least a click track. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That is one thing. And secondly, what I can recommend to you is, I think you were stretching because you were sort of losing the pitch. So I heard that, especially in the beginning, the first 35 seconds or so, I heard that when you were singing one note and you weren't too sure of the other, you would stretch and you would reach the correct note eventually. But when you were stretching and sliding through, it wasn't sounding that good because you were hitting wrong notes, right? It wasn't in sur, or it wasn't in the tune. So that is why it might sound a bit off to people when, if they hear you singing those slides with like that. So make sure you hit the correct pitch and not okay. So try to avoid those. So for pitching, again, I've mentioned this many times before, that you have a lot of resources. You can just, if you have an instrument, well and good, play an instrument and try to match the exact pitch that you're playing. Okay, you can use a perfect piano app or an instrument, play it whichever note it is. If you're not sure, if you're on pitch, use another phone with an app called Tuner Pitched, where it also shows you the note that's you're being sung, right? So then you can do the slides and tune it. If you're singing high, you can tune it down. If you're singing low, you can tune it up. Why I'm giving you this specifically is, you're already doing it, but you're doing it when you're singing a song. When you're singing a song, that should not happen. You must just hit and not like you can't slide through, because you'll be hitting a lot of wrong notes in between. So pitching is one thing and beat is one thing. So sur and tal, both are not bad, but both can have a lot of work. So you can work on that. Practice kijiye, please. And yeah, coming to your performance in general, as I said, the bright tone, I really liked it, but I would also like to listen to your voice singing a few other types as well. Maybe this voice can sing some sort of a rocky, sort of a yeah sort of song, like a Rock On, Farhan Akhtar type of song, or Vishal Dadlani songs, or again, maybe I've given this example before as well, maybe you can try to sing in a more of a lighter texture as well, and like Sonu Nigam, Arman Malik. And yes, apart from this, try to keep experimenting with different tempos, faster songs, slower songs, do a lot of warm-up lip trills, your shoulder drops, your facial exercises, neck exercises. So make sure there's no strain anywhere. I didn't see too much strain, but working on the pitching will also help you along with this. Okay, so great, Shaurya. Thank you for sending that across. Now we have our fourth submission, which is Sachin Sharma from Jaipur, Rajasthan. So it's an audio.
याद रखूंगा मैं ये बेवफाई यार मेरे, सिर्फ लगी चाहत में तन्हाई हाथ मेरे, मैं दिल को समझा लूंगा, मैं दिल को समझा लूंगा, तू ख्याल तेरा रखना, जिहाले मस्की मकुम्ब रंजिश बहाले ही जरा बेचारा दिल है, सुनाई देती है जिसकी धड़कन तुम्हारा दिल या हमारा दिल है, सुनाई देती है जिसकी धड़कन तुम्हारा दिल या हमारा दिल है, टूटे दिल को जोड़े कैसे ये बता.
Okay, I've played about 1 minute of Sachin's submission. Thank you so much, Sachin, for sending it across. But again, then this is an audio, and it would be great if you guys could send across videos, because I can give you feedback on the physical aspects of singing. Okay, so but I did hear a lot of what I need to give feedback on within this 1 minute. So that's good. Okay, so firstly, Sachin, you have a very unique tone. I don't know if you're purposely singing like that or that's what comes naturally to you. But either way, that's it's like a blend of sort of a Bollywood, like a playback singer, and like a Western pop singer's texture. In just terms of texture, I'm talking that it sounds like a blend. It doesn't fit into just one thing, which is great, because in this day and age, guys, being a good singer isn't enough. There needs to be a differentiator, right? So there needs to be something in your voice, and maybe one genre which sticks. Say, for example, Benny Dayal, he mainly sings these disco party type of songs because his voice suits that. Apart from that, he does do a lot of other projects, but that's just an example. And Arman Malik's voice is tailor made for like these slow romantic ballads, right? So in the same way, it's good to have a unique tone. And the best example I can give you of a pop singer is Khalid, who burst onto the scene a few years back, and his texture is the most unique selling point of his voice. Okay, so that unique texture is great, Sachin. So I was very fascinated with that part. And now coming to the performance itself. So there are quite a few points of feedback that I would like to give you. Firstly, you weren't having any key reference for sure because you just started singing. That's fine. Usually your tessitura, that is the place which your voice sounds the best at, will lie somewhere when you just na 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 start singing. But here there were a few low notes as well, right? You must be able to hit those low notes confidently. Okay, and you can do that only when you choose the right key. Maybe choose a slightly higher key, because I didn't see too much strain when you were singing high, but when you went low, you were straining a bit. So maybe choose a key slightly higher, use an instrument reference, use a karaoke track, whichever, and try to sing so that the overall lowest note and highest note both sound fine and solid, okay, and not shaky. So that is one thing. And the other thing is, you were singing throughout with a very breathy texture. So along with that na 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 na, there were a lot of short breaths that I was listening throughout the performance. That is not healthy, because that means you're not taking breath at the right time. So see, for example, I'm going to finish a sentence now, and then I'm going to start a new one, right? So I took a breath before the in between the two sentences. So that's the same way with lyrics. So make sure you're paying attention to how the syllables are broken and where you need to take your breath. You can't do like between lines. You can't take those short breaths. Also, it won't sound good if you're recording it as well or you're performing it live. So the microphone can pick up all of those those sounds, right? So you need to take your breath at the correct time. And why you're also running out of breath is because your texture, you're letting out a lot of air. So there you're letting out a lot of air. So that is why even when you go low, you're trying to sing in that airy texture, which is not working. When you go down, maybe switch from the airy to a more fuller chesty sound rather than that airy sort of a sound, right? So that will definitely help you in two ways. One is you can hit those lower notes better, and you can hit those higher notes better as well, because this song, it didn't have too many high notes, but if you had to go much higher, you can't sing it in that texture, that airy texture, not your voice texture, but that breathy, airy sort of a sound. You can't sing high. You have to switch to more of a brighter sound, like with your nasal resonance, by pushing air upwards, okay? And you can't strain your larynx or your throat. So make sure you take this. And lastly is the beat, right? So you need a metronome or you need a karaoke track, something so that the scale, the sur, and the beat, the tal or the rhythm that we call, so both of them are fixed. And then you can work a bit on your breathing. So you can refer to our Western Vocals Beginners course. I've spoken in the past few sessions, maybe session 6 to 8 or 9, a lot about breathing. So please refer to that and do those breathing exercises as well, and work on textures. Try singing it in different texture, a fuller texture, a lighter texture, some breathy, some not so much. Switch to falsetto if any note is getting too high, like falsetto is and not trying to push, right? So that's just an example. Thank you so much. That was quite a lot of feedback, I guess. Hope you take away something from it. And thank you for the submission, Sachin. Okay, guys, now moving on to the fifth and final submission for today. It's by Tashu from Gujarat. I think it's a video. So let me play this. It's a longer video. It's more than 2.5 minutes long. So I'll be playing just about a minute of it. Let's listen to Tashu.
यूं ही नहीं तुझ पे दिल ये फिदा है, यूं ही नहीं तुझ पे दिल ये फिदा है, सबसे तो अलैदा सबसे जुदा है, नामुमकिन तुझसा कोई चेहरा मिल पाना, दिल मेरा चाहे जब भी तू आए, तुझसे मैं कह दूं वापस न जाना, बाहों में तेरी सारी शब जागूं, आँखों से देखूं सुबहों का आना, दिल मेरा चाहे जब भी तू आए, तुझसे मैं कह दूं वापस न जाना, बाहों.
Okay, so that was 1 minute of Tashu singing. Thank you so much, Tashu, for sending that across. Firstly, I really like the way you sound. You have a really good voice. Okay, you have a singer's voice, as we call it. It's very conventional for a singer to have that nice, bright, open throated approach and that piercing sound, right? So it cuts through a mix. So I really like that, and especially the second half. Na 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 na. That part was really well sung. Okay, now coming to the feedback that I can give you specifically. Firstly, Tashu, I think you need a reference. Again, as I mentioned in the previous videos as well, you need a reference of a scale or a sur or the tune of the song. Okay, so whether it's a guitar chord or a keyboard or a karaoke track in the back, because where you started now, you were just singing a cappella without any backing, so it seemed pretty high. So what happens when you're starting high is that when later on it started going to the pre-chorus section, before the mukda or the chorus, it seemed a bit shouty, like that shouty texture is okay in some cases, but I don't think in this sort of a Bollywood song that's very necessary. So it's a stylistic choice. Again, in a rock song, maybe that's what you need. Okay, so maybe start at a slightly lower key and use a tune, or the sur should be basically the scale that you pick should be comfortable for you, where you start low and then you start slowly going higher. That is one thing. Secondly, using a karaoke or metronome, as I've mentioned again many times, that it can help you stay on beat. Na, 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 na. So that time you won't have to worry about missing the beat also, and also you can take the breaths correctly. Na, 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 na. So you know that the beat is coming. Otherwise, sometimes without the beat, you might get like sort of complacent, where you think, okay, like I can sing, I can stretch it however long I want and then take a breath, right? So work on starting your scale correctly, and of course pitching at few places. I think it was mainly because the scale was a little high for you. Otherwise, I think your sense of pitch is pretty good. So, but yeah, you can always work on it to improve it more, right? So use an instrument, use a perfect piano app, try to match the pitches, play it, match it, and whenever you listen to a song, try to hit the correct pitches. Maybe just take one line, replay it in your head, and take it in your key. Na, 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 na. So so you can sort of plot the graph of the notes, like however that works for you. So that will sort of help you to know where you have to go, right? So that is another tip I can give you. Apart from that, work on your breathing, your rhythm, your sur, that is hitting the correct notes, how pitchy you were, and make sure you choose the right scale. Otherwise, there's nothing much. I would definitely say try to sing songs with a little more character also. This was very like the most, what do you say, direct, conventional sort of a song, right? Maybe try to pick something which has a lot more attitude, a lot more emotion, maybe like a ballad, or maybe like a Neha Kakkar party song, anything. Maybe your voice will cut through all of those. It's all about how you twist and turn it to suit your style, right? So I would love to listen to more from you. I'm very excited to see how you take this feedback and move forward with further videos. So guys, that's it for yet another Feedback Friday live session. Hope you've taken the feedback in the right spirit, and please work on it. We would love to listen back from you and maybe send another submission. And I would love to listen to more maybe English songs as well from you guys. So because this is mainly a Western vocals channel. But yeah, for those of you who want to submit newly, please go down to the description below, fill the form up with all the details and the link to your video or audio file, and I'll definitely get to giving you guys feedback as well. Just a few guidelines. Make sure let it be at least 1 minute long, and let it be in any language. That's fine. English is obviously preferred because that's my forte, but if not, we understand our demographic, so any language is fine. Thirdly, make sure there is no effects like auto-tune, a reverb, echo, delay, and so on, because that takes away from the raw performance, right? And a video is preferred over an audio because I can give you feedback on the physical aspects. If you're straining somewhere, if your posture is not correct, I can give you feedback on that as well, because that's very, very important in singing, guys, okay? So yeah, and try to record in a quiet room with not too much noise around, and that's for obvious reasons. So cool. Again, I really enjoyed doing this session. You can catch me next Friday at the same time doing yet another Feedback Friday live session, and also on Mondays at 4 p.m. for the Western Vocals Beginners course. For those of you, even though you don't sing Western vocals, it's fine. Please go and check out all those videos in order, because there's a lot to gain in terms of warm-ups, techniques, and just in general how to improve as a singer, as a contemporary singer, right? Okay, so happy practicing. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care, guys.